Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. It's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most here on The Rundown. 2A Views, conservative news, and Craig, guess what day it is?
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Who's ready?
Throw Punch Thursday, bitch.
Right in the
That's
throat.
right. It is Throat Punch Thursday, and apparently America is punching throats all over the world, in all different religions. It appears.
Oh, you're already going with the sex jokes? Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible.
It's sex jokes. I'm just talking about punching people in the throat. That's all.
I thought that's what you meant, talking about punching in the throat with Catholic priests and stuff. Okay. Never mind. Never mind.
No. Not going there. Have not gone there. Not going there. Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah.
Not yet. So how are we doing, sir? Has your weekend officially begun, or is it still just you still trying to get in the process?
You know, at this point, they all kind of blend in. I don't even know what the days of the week are anymore. It's just
Okay. Well, I know
just
for me
tell
once again.
hey, unless you say, hey, we got to be somewhere this weekend, I just treat them all the same.
There you go. Every Earth Day is the same for Mikey P. Now we know. Well, let's go ahead and jump into the stories. Oh, wait, why do I forget this almost every day? I forget this. But you know what? I remembered it. Got to give a quick shout out to our sponsors because that's how we pay them bills.
Sponsor Bill, y'all. Let's say hello to our good friends over at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. Now you get yourself rifle and pistol barrels at any caliber you want, any length you desire for your next AR build. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting the good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California streets today. If you want the best in tactical concealed holsters on the market, you have to get over to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, hogholsters.com. Use the discount code, the rundown. That's all one word, no spaces, all caps. Get yourself a nice little discount. And if you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, outdoor gear, web gear, law enforcement, security, whatever it may be, get your agency together, get your group together, get on over to uscombatgear.com and get yourself everything you need.
That's right. Everything except the gun you can get at uscombatgear.com. Everything you need from any one of our sponsors, all you have to do is visit the links in the description to this program. Go there, click on the link, check them out, spend some money with them, and make sure you tell them it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you. Also want to encourage you, if you are watching us live, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, on Facebook, on Rumble, on Twitter, go ahead and comment. We are following your comments. If we find them to be interesting, we will share them with the rest of the audience. And if we don't, we won't. We don't have to agree. Obviously, we love disagreement, but just know that if you disagree, we do reserve the right to mock you.
Craig says he loves disagreement. I don't.
He does. Mike does like disagree.
A little time for you, but that's all right. We'll mock you anyway. We still will mock.
We will make time to mock you.
Yep.
Good stuff. So we're gonna have a good time. Folks. Let's go ahead and get into today's story and big news. And I know that some of y'all out there may not be Catholic, or most of you out there probably aren't Catholic. But big news is that the Catholic Church has selected a new pope, and the reason why it is big news is because they have selected the first ever pope from the United States of America. Now, it is important to note that he is the first. USA. Now, it's important to know that he is American born. Just a couple of quick facts about him. Cardinal Robert Francis Provost was elected Pope and chose the name Leo XIV. He's a Chicago native. Provost is the first American to head of the Roman Catholic Church. About 81% of all popes have been Italian, but there hasn't been an Italian pope since 1978. It says here, Villanova University graduate was elected by the Catholic Cardinals on the 4th ballot of their conclave in the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican City. Provost's election was announced by Cardinal Dominique Mamberti, and a huge crowd gathered at St. Peter's Square, about 15,000. Pope Francis died in April at age 88. Now, this guy is kind of a protege, and he was kind of selected as kind of the heir apparent for Francis. So you can probably guess that a lot of what he believes is in line with him. In fact, they go on to point out here that at least the New York Times goes on to point out Pope Leo XIV spent years retweeting criticisms of Trump policies. So we pretty much can have a pretty good idea of exactly where this guy is going to be. Now, the question is, how far to the left is he going to be? Is he going to be part of the, is he going to be, part of the Catholic Church, or is he going to be part of the liberation movement church that happens to be heading the Catholic Church? One can only guess.
Listen, he's a Catholic, powerful Catholic man from Chicago. Of course, he hates Trump. Okay, that's just. I mean, we have to go any further. He hates Trump. He's from Chicago. Craig, I don't know about the heir apparent. It's when it takes 4 elections to get you through. I don't know if that makes you the heir apparent or not. I think that's obviously the Cardinals finally did the decision, but he by no means was the first choice, the second choice, third choice, just the fourth choice. So,
he may have been the highest vote getter. What it sounds like is because Pope Francis brought him back over brought him into the Vatican from Peru, but he brought him in there to basically, I think he was running some program. He was like overseeing the selection and the training of the bishops. But he brought him back specifically because I believe he wanted to kind of groom him. I let folks know, this is my guy. Now, just because he's Pope Francis's guy doesn't mean that he's going to be the guy. But that did kind of make him the odds-on favorite going in. The one thing that he had against him was the fact that there has just been this kind of long-standing unwritten rule that because of the influence that the United States of America has culturally, that they did not want to select a pope from the United States. And this guy, because he spent so much time in Peru and so much time abroad, they really kind of felt like, well, he's American-born, but is he really American? I mean, is he American or is he an American?
This guy's American. He's Chicago. I mean, he's going to be up there, telling everybody this weekend that he's on a mission from GAD. It's going to be completely through. It's all the way through. And all I'm going to say is he got elected because I'm going to call it riding the coattails. It's the Trump effect.
I don't know. I think some of that had to do with the fact that he is. I think we're going to find, like just like his predecessor, he spends a lot of time. He has given in to a certain degree to the liberation theology, which, by the way, is inconsistent with Christian theology. But that doesn't stop some Christian pastors from falling into that line or that mode of thinking. But it is really tends to be kind of a neo-Marxist kind of way of thinking that seems to be popular, in particular in places like South America.
Listen, I understand that's how you feel, and I that's all right. But again, I think this is going to be Father Leo from Chicago, and if you don't go to Mass on Sunday, he's going to have your legs broken.
Yeah, I do not doubt that at all. I do not doubt that part of being from Chicago is going to play a role.
Yeah. I think that's good. Yep.
Anyway, it's going to be really important because, I really do think, and when I talk to a number of in particular my Catholic conservative friends, there has been a lot of concern that the past pope had taken many positions that many feel are inconsistent with the Bible, inconsistent with Catholic Church teachings. And I'm hoping that this guy, regardless of how he feels on some of that stuff, will stick to what the Word says, because that's what you're supposed to go by, not necessarily what the Pope says. But I know a lot of Catholics will do whatever the Pope says. So
Been a lot of changes in the Catholic Church in the last bunch of years. I think, like you said, after Pope John Paul II left us, yeah, it's been a no consistency. We'll say it that way. How about that?
None whatsoever. But you know what? Here's the thing. It's kind of like being it's kind of like being a Supreme Court justice. Like once you're there, you do you. You don't have to worry about what anybody else thinks. You do you. Kevin Sona is chiming in from the great state of Florida. He says, "Was the smoke red, white, and blue?"
Yeah, they were barbecuing.
Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, it was. At least it was white. I don't think they're going to promote whether or not it was red, white, and blue, but at least we know that it was white.
Oh, it was red, white, and blue because again, it's from Chicago. They had some sausages on there. They had
Some sausages.
They're grilling some pork chops. You know,
Some pork chops. Good stuff right there. Good stuff right there. All right, moving right along. Speaking of religions, let's talk a little bit about Israel. Let's talk about Jews. Let's talk about anti-Jews or anti-Israel radicals taking over the library and taking over the campus once again. They're at Columbia University. These folks just do not get it. I don't know why they just cannot figure it out and why they can't just, this is not going to win them any friends. But anyway, as is being reported by our friends over at the Washington Free Beacon, Columbia radicals take over campus library, forcing out studying students for finals. So students are studying for finals, and they're forcing them out of the library, and they think that's going to win them some positive influence. A mob of Columbia University radicals stormed a campus library Wednesday afternoon, forcing out dozens of students studying for their final exams. Police were called after 4 hours, resulting in roughly 80 arrests. Video footage shows around 100 masked radicals in dark clothing storming Butler Library around 3 p.m., pushing their way past the campus security guard at the building's entrance. Columbia University apartheid divest, the Ivy League institution's most anti-Semitic group, took credit on social media. And here you see, I'll play some of pull up here on X, and you can see some of the videos that they had here. You can see here, it took place in the campus. Let's go to the next one. They forced their way in. I guess now students are like, okay, well, I guess I got to get up out of here. Look, nobody wants to be on camera. They all want to be radical, but nobody wants to be on camera. Funny how that works, huh, Mike?
Yep.
Well, I will tell you right now, if I were a student and I were studying for my finals, and these folks had shown up making all that kind of noise, I'm not saying that I could beat up 100 people, but one or two would have felt my presence, at least.
I'm not saying I'll beat up 100, but I'll give it a shot.
I would give it a shot. Look, the first one or two, yeah, they would need some medical attention.
Do you see any difference in this story between how it's written today and how it would have been written 6 months ago?
That 80 people were actually arrested. I just found it interesting that it took them 4 hours for the police to show up, or I don't know if it took them 4 hours to call the police, or if it took them 4 hours for the police to show up.
Story says it took 4 hours to call the police, so it sounds like there might still be some internal, within the department or whoever actually called or in that building. There still might be some consternation there on them doing the right thing and trying to end this thing as soon as it starts. But it says after 4 hours they called the police, and then roughly 80 out of 100. Hey, listen, Craig, that's 80 out of 100. You ever go fishing?
Yes.
You ever catch all the fish? It's tough. All right,
I don't catch all the fish. Right.
That's 80% success rate on arrests. That's a good deal. That's a good deal.
That ain't bad. That is not a bad place to be. But
it looks like the police, they're doing what they need to be doing, and this will get some news. This is going to get a little bit of attention from the president, from their administration.
Well, and every single one of these students that got one of these folks who got arrested, if they are here on some sort of a visa, it's time for them to get the boot. It's time for them to.
Rubio is down at the holding cells right now, eyeballing each one of them, going, "You come here, in the van. You come here in the van. He's grabbing. Listen, if any of these are here, I don't care if a guy came, down from Canada yesterday to visit. They're going to Guantanamo, baby. They're going to El Salvador. He's getting ready. They're going.
Yeah, and you should go, because I'm sorry, but you don't get to come here and you don't get to break the law. If you want to protest and you want to do so in a legal manner, you go do so in a legal manner. If you want to get in the way of other students who basically spent a lot of money to try and get an education because they want to get an education, and you want to use fear, you want to use violence in order to make your voice heard, well, as far as I'm concerned, your ass needs to be put out of this country.
Yeah.
And if you live in this country and you do that, your ass needs to be put in jail.
Agreed.
Yeah, not a whole lot there's not a whole lot to disagree with there. It's just, once again, it's one thing to protest. I'm not against protest. You have every right to protest, but when you start infringing on the rights of others, your right to protest becomes null and void when you start taking away the rights of others. And that they seem to think that that's okay. And what's funny is then they get upset and they're like, well, but we shouldn't get kicked out of the country. We shouldn't lose our scholarships. We shouldn't get kicked out of school. I'm like, so in other words, you want to engage in civil disobedience, but you don't want there to be any consequences. What's so brave and sacrificial about that? Absolutely nothing.
They're going down the hole, boy. Ain't never coming back. Back.
Bye, Felicia. Time to see you. Gone. Be gone with you. Should have thought before you decided you wanted to get involved in that.
Yep.
And that's the sort of stuff though that we're dealing with. And what's even funnier, Mike, is you got guys like, there's a guy, once again, a Columbia student. This guy Mohan Mahadi, right? He is a student there at Columbia. Now, this is a guy who bragged, who literally is on tape. He's bragging to neighbors about building guns for terrorists so that he can kill Jews, so that they can kill Jews, right? He was bragging about this. And now he's trying to fight deportation. So in other words, he bragged about making guns to kill Jews. Now he's here in America, and now they're trying to deport him. And he's like, I shouldn't be kicked out of the country. It says here, a Pakistani activist at Columbia University spooked neighbors in his small Vermont town by bragging about his hatred of Jews and his background of building weapons for terrorist groups, according to interviews and a 2015 police records obtained by the Washington Free Beacon. Mohsen Madawi, who had recently moved to Windsor, Vermont, from the West Bank, told multiple people in town that he had previously worked in Palestine refugee camp building guns for terrorists. That sounds to me like go to Guantanamo, do not pass go, do not collect $200.
Yeah, right. It's weird though, because when he filled out his application, he wrote student. To come on, not gun builder for Palestinians, to kill Jews. It just go away. Did you notice he was not a Columbia student. He was just an activist that went down there. So this guy's not a student. He came into this country from the West Bank and decided living up here in peaceful Vermont's not enough. I got to go down there and stir the pot.
Yep. So I'm sorry, but once again, you're not a citizen. You are a resident. You are a visitor, for lack of a better term, because I don't even know. It didn't even say whether or not he had permanent status. But dude decided that you want to talk about building guns and killing Jews, then it's kind of time for you to go. Because once again, and as Rubio said, if you had put that on your application, what are the chances you think he would have gotten into the United States of America?
Yeah, gone, done. Guy's out. They're not even stopping it in Maryland for a hearing. He's done. He's on the way out.
No, as well he should be.
Yeah.
And that's it's funny. I see a lot of people, even some conservatives, who are like, well, they're like, oh, well, due process, and I'm all for due process, but there's a certain point where sometimes due process is this is what you said, this is what we know, you're out of here. In other words, somebody officially looked at the record and decided you're out of here. Sometimes that's just enough.
Due process, just their current chant. If they would bother to go look at the procedure and find out that due process means a hearing before an ICE or an INS detention officer. That's what it means. I'm not talking about your regular beat cop. I'm talking about they have their people that sit down and review the paperwork, and they go, no, not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You ever watch the show? I forget, it was Smuggling in America or whatever the hell it is. It's on one of the back channels in the cable, and it's about the ICE agents working the desks all around the country, around the world, from all different countries when they come in. And this is the hearing officer, the guy when you come back from the country and you hand him your passport and you go, why are you here? And he goes, oh, I'm here for vacation for a week. Okay, you can come in. He goes, oh, I don't know, I don't have any money, I don't have any friends. You're denied. That's the ICE hearing officer.
That's due process.
That's the extent of what you get. That's the process. If you don't like that due process and you want more, change the law, right? Congress, go up there and do it. Otherwise, he's out.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I think the one issue that makes the Abrego Garcia thing just a wee bit different is that there was a stay on his deportation to El Salvador. So that needed to be addressed, whether it was him going there or an officer basically saying, yeah, no, that has been made void, or, okay, we now deport him to Guantanamo, to another country, whatever. But there's a certain level of additional process that was due him. But that doesn't mean that he gets to come back here.
The guy already had multiple court hearings, and the last order that was standing in front of him was a deportation order. So somebody, before they issued the deportation order, said, oh, he's got a stay order. Okay, let's take a look at everything. Nope, I don't believe in what you said there. So you get a deportation order. What happened was they didn't take the deportation order off the books before they put the
and that's the process that should have taken place. And in particular, the funny part is that it wasn't even that he couldn't be deported. He just wasn't supposed to be deported to El Salvador. They could have deported him anywhere else. They could send him to Mexico. They could have sent him to Cuba. They could have sent him anywhere.
And remember, the reason he couldn't go to El Salvador is because a rival gang had threatened to kill him if returned to El Salvador. But since the time of this order has taken place, that gang no longer exists. So
yeah,
it's not like they sent him to his death or anything. It's just
no. They just sent him on vacation where he got to drink margaritas with a U.S. senator.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe he didn't actually get a margarita, but nonetheless.
Yep. I think it was a chilada.
It was an enchilada. Okay.
No, chilada.
Oh, a chilada. Oh. All right, folks. Hey, here's this next story. And I wanted to share this with you because I need you to understand elections have consequences. And for those of you who are in free America, who think that you are safe, let me just make this clear. Arizona, not too long ago, was a free state, was a state that could be touted as a place where the right to keep and bear arms was heralded and was held up as something that was sacrosanct. It was right up there with Texas and Alabama and all, Georgia. Well, all it took was the election of a couple of Democrat U.S. senators and a Democratic governor. And now you have laws that are actually protecting our fundamental right to keep and bear arms now basically being killed by a Democrat governor. That's right. Right now you have there in the state of Arizona, anti-gunners celebrate Arizona veto of bill strengthening preemption. This is by our friend Mr. Tom Knighton over at Bearing Arms. Says, for years we heard Democrats, almost all of whom were anti-gun, talk about how no one was above the law. Now, this is a sentiment I agree with. No one should be above the law. That's why I want things to be like Epstein client list made public, followed by very public arrest. no one is above the law. In Arizona, I suspect a lot of state office holding Democrats agreed with that when the world seemed to be closing in on Donald Trump. Now though, I guess they have a problem with making sure no one is above the law, and anti-gunners are loving it. It says here, several gun ban groups are cheering Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs' veto of a measure that would have bolstered the Grand Canyon State's firearms preemption law. Senate Bill 1705 would have put some teeth into Arizona's firearm preemption laws by allowing a court to impose a $5,000 civil penalty on government officials who knowingly violate state firearm regulations. Additionally, it would have prohibited the use of public funding to defend or reimburse those who breached the law. I think this is something, Mike, that you and I have been saying for years needs to be put in place. Something that actually holds elected officials accountable when they decide they're going to ignore the Constitution or the law.
Yeah, and that's almost verbatim from the Florida law as well, what we have here in Florida. And we had one of these preemption statutes before that had it said you can't do it, but there were no penalties. And then they added exactly what you just said. It also gives the governor here the ability to remove politicians from office if they're in violation of the preemption law. So it's unfortunate that Arizona went this way. You and I, listen, I remember going there in 2016, 2017 to the gun rights policy conference. We went there because we had some of the top gun laws or top gun rights in the nation. And here we are in a couple short years. They've turned around into, California East.
Well, they have. And as people have left the state of California, they've moved to play. Arizona is one of the number one destinations. Nevada's also a destination. We've seen them move to Seattle. We've seen them move to Washington. We've seen them move to Oregon. We've seen them move to Colorado. The ones who tend to move to places like Texas and Florida, though, they tend to be more conservative. But that doesn't mean that they are. I mean, the reality is, a lot of them, they bring their stinking thinking. A lot of them are leftists, and they bring their stinking thinking with them.
I would concur. We get it a lot. We have to turn them around, take them back to the border. There you go.
Yep.
I think you hit the wrong exit, buddy. You should have taken that left turn in Albuquerque.
Or at the very least, remind them, you are a refugee, not a missionary.
Yeah. That's it.
You need to seek refugee status. So I'm seeking asylum in Florida.
Yeah. Denied. You're going to El Salvador.
What? Make El Salvador great again.
That's it.
What, y'all don't like that? Y'all don't want to make El Salvador great again?
What's up with that, huh?
Oh, they're racist. That's what it is. They're just racist against El Salvadorians. All right, folks. Well, hey, that brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code THERUNDOWN. That's all caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. As was brought up earlier, how did we know that there was going to be an American Pope? Well, from our friends over at the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust, it was reported that an eagle firing an AR-15 was seen. That's how they knew an American Pope was selected.
That's right. And he was dropping white smoke flares.
What? Were those smoke flares?
Yeah, white smoke bombs. He was dropping them.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you how they really knew, Mike. How they really knew? Vatican City, after electing an American Pope. What might that be?
That's Boosie's, right? Boosie's?
They got a Waffle House, a Costco, and a Buc-ee's.
I love when I hear people say, we're going to Boosie's.
Going to Boosie's. Oh, here's another one. Catholics frantically Google newly elected Pope to see if he's Catholic.
Yeah, they should probably check that.
They should probably check that because they didn't last time.
Look at that guy. Look at the face of that guy. He's thinking about, I'm going to have your legs broken right now. That's what he's thinking about.
I'll tell you what, here's another good sign. Trump's tariffs are working. Even the Pope is made in America.
USA.
USA.
Yep.
USA. All right. And then finally, we're on a mission from God.
That's what you get when you get a Catholic Pope from Chicago. We're on a mission.
Exactly. On a mission from God. All right, folks, that brings us to the end of our program. But before we go, we got one more quick shout out to our sponsors.
Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Get over there, get yourself some AR barrels. They've got rifle caliber, pistol caliber, any length you desire. They can make it all work. You need something custom, want some weird caliber, give them a call. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting that good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. And if you want that best in field gear, tactical gear, web gear, whatever it is, law enforcement, fire, EMS, get your group together, get your agency together, make a call over at uscombatgear.com where you get everything except the gun.
And that's going to be it for today's program. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow. Actually, no, we will not be back tomorrow. I'm going to be taking the day off. Going to take me a 3-day weekend. So we're not going to be doing the show tomorrow. No show tomorrow. Y'all have fun. Y'all stay safe. Enjoy the weekend. And, do the Friday dance, even if we're not here.
The Trumpy dance is the
It's
dance.
your chance to do the Trump. Did it? Do me, baby.